Hey guys, Kelsey here from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com, and today we are talking bread pans. Mine were looking pretty sketchy. I needed to replace them, so I checked all the top best bread pan, loaf pan lists there were. I picked out 2 and I tried them out so you don't have to, and I'm going to tell you which one is my pick for the best loaf pan. So the bread loaf pans I've been using for a long time, they were the wider set pans. I cannot remember what the exact dimensions are on these. I'll put it here in little captions below as to what the 2 kind of standard loaf pan sizes are. But I had sort of the wider ones previously, and I also, they were, don't come for me in the comments, but I think they were like a Teflon non-stick, and so like that coating was starting to scrape off. They just weren't working well. It was a fight every time I was trying to make bread, and we have recently switched from doing sort of I do a lot of sourdough. I just do regular kind of yeasted breads as well, and I have switched from doing a round loaf to more of a square shape because I find we waste less like with the round loaf, unless it's kind of a special occasion like with company or you're using it with soup or something. I find like the rounded edges of those tend to get wasted and just fed to the chickens. However, if it's just like a loaf, then we eat them more often. So I knew I needed some pans that were going to work really well. I make between 2 and 4 loaves of bread every single week, so I wanted something that was really going to stand up to a lot of use. So I had probably close to a dozen, if not more, different best bread loaf pans according to different sources. If you go down below, I will link in the description box to the blog post, and I will share there all the different lists that I went to decide on trying these 2 pans. So the 2 pans that I got, the first I got is the Chicago Metallic. This one just kind of a very basic pan. So this was mentioned on a couple of different lists, and it was on one of the lists, it was actually the #1 choice, regardless of anything. On another list, it was the budget choice, and then it was on at least one other list. So the 2 pans that I picked, of all the lists, they showed up on at least 3 of them. That was kind of my criteria, where I said, okay, this is how I'm going to decide what to use. So I'll talk about this a little bit more, but this is Chicago Metallic. And the next one that I went with is the Lodge cast irons. This one, they're very different looking bread pans. And so this one was also mentioned on a couple lists. I believe this was also someone's first pick. I'll have to double check. But it also came up on a couple different lists and was one that people liked as well. So here, I'm going to show you just really quick. In a video, I did make a couple loaves of bread yesterday, and admittedly, these are not my best looking loaves of bread. So please do not judge me as a baker don't judge me as a baker in general. I do not consider myself a baker. I bake out of necessity, and it is a little bit fun. But anyway, these loaves were not my best. They did not have long enough to prove. I'm still struggling with daylight savings, so I did not get these loaves even mixed up until like 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was like 10 o'clock when I was baking them, so they don't look that great. Anyway, that aside, here you can see the loaves that I baked, and taking them out of first the Chicago Metallic pan. The first time I made a loaf of bread in this sucker, the loaf just fell right out. It was the easiest time I've ever had removing a loaf. I seriously, my husband watched me do it, and my face, I was just in shock and awe. It was incredible how easy it came out. This time it took a little bit more. I have this, it's my favorite kitchen tool. I got it at a garage sale for $1. I think I use this for everything. It's super thin, and it's really, it doesn't scrape things the way you would if you just went in there with like a butter knife or something. So this is what I usually use to loosen bread in my pan. So I had to just kind of loosen the sides a little bit, and it came out pretty nice. So aside from it being an underproved loaf, it still came out looking pretty nice. It did a decent job. And then moving over to the Lodge cast iron pan, same thing. I had to remove the loaf. I just had to loosen it a little tiny bit here, and it came out pretty nicely as well. Now I'll show you really quick what I did. So these are both, the cast iron comes pre-treated, but I still would definitely grease it. And then also the other one, it's supposed to be non-coated. We'll get to that in a second, that you technically wouldn't have to grease, but I did grease. I'll just show you here. I greased both pans using coconut oil, and I'm pretty thorough with it. I don't leave like big globs of coconut oil on there, but I definitely do a really solid coating because I don't want to have to deal with bread sticking. It's so frustrating. All that time and effort, and then a loaf half sticks to the pan and it comes out all mangled. It's so frustrating. So I don't grease well is my advice. So one thing I will say in a comparison here, if you look, is the Chicago Metallic pan. While it certainly did a perfectly fine even bake, if you look, it's a much lighter bake all around than the cast iron. If you look at the cast iron, it's a little bit of a darker bake, and you get kind of a nicer crust on the outside all the way around. So from these 2 pans, which was my choice? And you maybe already guessed by looking at these loaves, but I am going to say the Lodge is the one that I would go with. So Let me just do pros and cons of each of these. So first of all, pros with this Chicago metallic one is that it's very, very lightweight. It is basic. If you have kind of like a small home baking side hustle, maybe you bake bread for your little farm stand, or you take some to the farmer's market or something, this might be a better option. I think that they will stack into each other. I was reading on Amazon some of the reviews too. It said that it will stack not perfectly in there, but it will stack pretty nicely. So I think that these would be a good option for that they're very lightweight, very utilitarian, very simple. Price is really nice as well. I got this for, I think it was $11 or $12. And then if you buy 2 of them, it was like 19 something. So this is a very good economical choice. It was easy to grease. It's very easy to clean, which I really like as well. The one negative is I didn't want to have a coated pan. And so it said that it is a non-coated pan. However, when you read some of the reviews about it, some people said after using it for a couple months that they could see that there was some sort of coating on it. In the description, it says again that it's a non-coated pan, that it's like an aluminized or something steel or something like, I don't quite understand that. But other people said that no, it's actually this like proprietary coating that Chicago Metallic has that they put on it, even though it says it is a non-coated pan. So I am not 100% positive that it is non-coated. If it is coated, it's one that's free. It's not like a Teflon sort of coating. It's free of all the sort of weird things that you find in Teflon that you don't want there. So, but if you do want a 100%, you're positive this isn't a coated pan, I don't know that this is the one. Again, I'll link to the blog post, and if I'm able to kind of dig up anything more on their website about this pan in particular, I'll be sure to tell you over on the blog post. So next, the pros and cons of this Lodge one. Pro, I really liked how the loaf turned out that came out of it. It bakes really evenly. You get that really nice crust all around. It makes a really nice loaf of bread. I really like it, which I shouldn't have been surprised. I've done pretty much all my cooking in cast iron, a wee bit of stainless steel on this side, but for the most part, it is cast iron, just lives on my stove. It never comes off it. So shouldn't have been surprised I like the cast iron. And so negatives, she's real heavy. This is a bulky pan. If someone broke into my house and I didn't have a weapon handy, but this pan was there, I would feel actually somewhat prepared if I had this pan, because she is hefty. The other negative is, so it does come pre-seasoned, but even still when you're greasing it, it has kind of, I don't know, you can see it's hard to film black stuff, but you can kind of see it's got a little bit of a, I don't know how I want to describe that. It's like little teeny bumps in there, probably just from the making it process. I don't know. So greasing it, whereas with this one, when you go to grease it, it just slips right on there, easy peasy. This one takes a little more effort to actually get it greased thoroughly and well. I'd make sure too you're greasing the top up here if you're going to get this pan. The other negative that goes along with the greasing it is it's hard to clean, again, because of that sort of texture in there. Like I'm looking at it, I just cleaned this sucker and there's still, if you can tell, that corner right there still is not totally clean, and I've scrubbed this thing. So that is definitely another negative, is it's hard to clean. Cutting back to positives if I can, it does have these handles as well. I'm sorry, I hope this sound hasn't been picking up too much on the microphone, but so it's nice to grab onto as well. So price difference, the Chicago Metallic was either 11 or 12, and then the cast iron one was either 19 or 20. So for $8 more, I mean, this will eventually, it's going to get dented. Something's going to happen. This will eventually end up in my kids' like play kitchen 100%. But this thing for $20, I mean, I'll probably gonna have this pan for the rest of my life. So it's a pretty good investment. There was one other pan that I noticed when I looked through all of the best bread pan lists, is one from a company called Good Jones. And I really wanted to get one. I actually was gonna order just 2 of those and call it good because they had such nice reviews. However, those pans, just the pan itself is $32. They do have a really great sale going on right now. I'm not an affiliate. I do not own one of their pans, which is $10 off. And so I thought, great, I'm going to get one. That way I can compare all 3 of these. They all showed up on these lists, and that way I can give kind of my input on it. However, shipping is $18 on that sucker. So originally when I was going to buy 2 of those pans, it was going to be over $80 for 2 pans plus shipping. And I got these 2 pans, and again, I bought them on Amazon. I'm sorry. I always advocate for shopping locally, but also sometimes you live out in the boonies, or you don't live out in the boonies and you just need something now. Amazon's pretty handy. So I did get them off of Amazon. So shipping was free. And so it was, I think, $32 for both of these pans versus $80 some for the pans from Good Jones. But they did come up a lot on other lists. So And when I was going to potentially buy one, again, it was great that it's $10 off right now, but then it was also with the shipping, it was going to be like $42 for one bread pan. And I just couldn't, again, 20 bucks. She's here forever versus a pan I'm not sure about, and it's going to be 40 some dollars. So if anyone has a good Jones pan and you want to leave some feedback, please do below. They also come in really pretty colors, but again, never used one, can't say anything about them except for that they were on a lot of the lists. So those are my two pans, Chicago Metallic and the Lodge. Again, I would go with the Lodge. I think it worked really nicely. I will have some affiliate links below if you do want to pick up one or both of these pans for your own home kitchen. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. We will see you next week for more farming, family food, and fortitude here at our Rough and Tumble Farmhouse.